I think you saw it on Peacock, right, Garrett? You watched it at home. We watched it in the theater. So first of all, we saw it on Thursday night. There was a crowd in there, wouldn't you say, Uncle Bill? It was pretty crowded.
Yeah, it was, I would say, about 75, 80%?
Probably.
Filled up.
No crowd reaction at all. I was thinking about that today, too. There was a decent amount of people in there. There was nothing throughout this movie that they really reacted to at all. And that's very weird for...
Well, there was like two things, but it was nothing like scared them. It was all like humor stuff. And one of them was the scene with the like older couple when they're going back and forth, and he's like, somebody's out on our fucking porch or whatever, and she's like, who is it? And he goes, who cares? And starts running. They laughed about that. And then the other one was I don't know how else to say this, but the couple, Big John and Little John, like this, there was a lot of reaction to that whole sequence. Yeah. Which I'm not sure if that was intended to be humorous or not, but I think it has to be, man.
I think so too. I was kind of surprised by that, to be honest.
I was too.
Especially the photo. They were making fun of those fucking guys. I don't give a fuck. I mean, they were making fun of those guys.
But we're definitely gonna like have some differing opinions about this movie. God, I don't even know where I want to start with it. I think I've actually figured out like what it is that I really didn't like about it, but
there's things I liked about it, and there's things I didn't like about it. But I kind of had a very somewhat similar opinion about 2018, as I did with some of the stuff here. Like this Michael Myers to me is kind of like a cross between what we're getting in the original and Rob Zombie. Like it's kind of almost like an in-between Myers. The Michael Myers I would prefer is more of like stalk and slash, like walking through the streets of Haddonfield on a fall Halloween day. Like that's the parts of these two movies that I like the most, is just watching him kind of walk around and seeing like the atmosphere and stuff. I like that. I wasn't even hardcore into like, oh, I love all these kills and stuff. Like to me, I don't care about that stuff personally. Were the kills cool? Sure, they were inventive, but to me, like that's Jason Voorhees to me, right? Like that's more what I think about. Michael Myers is not a Jason Statham taking out like 6 dudes at once, and that's not. I didn't care about that kind of stuff. I didn't hate it, but I didn't. To me, I wasn't like, yeah, this is great because of this. Like that's not it. I just think it was what it was intended to be. I think it was like, you could tell it was filler. I don't know what I would have wanted from it, to be honest with you. I think it gave us action. It was pretty fast paced. And, I think it was what it was. Like I wasn't really expecting much more, I guess. So that's why I'm kind of fine with it. 2018, that whole beginning scene with the reporters, like I hate that thing. To me, that movie doesn't start until like Myers is walking the streets of Haddonfield. So like the first quarter of Halloween Kills, Halloween 2018, like I just found boring. And I love storytelling and stuff. I just didn't like the way they started that story. But we can keep going because there was a lot about kills that I did like random scenes and storylines that didn't amount to anything, that didn't need to be there.
One thing that I was thinking about today, and you got to think of it from this universe, the Blumhouse David Gordon Green universe, where it's the 78 film, and now the 78 film has a different ending, which they created in this movie.
Well, it's got the same ending, but it's got a different. Okay, so it's almost like what they did here was they recreated the beginning of Halloween II, which doesn't exist now. So they're basically telling you what happened after he fell off the roof and got up.
Well, right? You never saw him fall off the roof in this, though. They didn't show any of that.
But I'm assuming that was implied because 78 ends there, and then he's gone.
Anyway, what I was getting at, though, is, okay, you had the incident in 78. Halloween 18 and Halloween Kills take place in the same time, 2018. Mm-hmm. The beginning of Halloween Kills, nobody in Haddonfield knows that Michael Myers has killed again at all. Nobody knows he's out there or whatever, right? So he killed, 4 or 5 people 40 years ago. And Anthony Michael Hall, who is fucking terrible in this movie.
Wait a minute. Come on. I loved Anthony Michael Hall.
No.
Oh, my goodness. I thought he was great.
He gets people riled up about something that happened 40 fucking years ago. Enough to take over the hospital and overthrow Titus O'Neil, the sheriff.
It did look just like Titus O'Neil when he told me that.
Titus O'Neil in a cowboy hat. That's just, come on now. I can't.
No, it wasn't like that because he, all right, so 2018, Myers killed people on the street of Haddonfield. Then this one, he started killing people. Then Anthony Michael Hall saw it on the news. Remember at the bar, he saw on the news that Michael Myers was, or somebody was killing again.
Well, this was midway through when they were introducing everybody that they could get from Halloween 1 for the costume contest deal. That's what it kind of reminded me. It's like, celebrity judges for Horror Hound Weekend Costume Contest? Nancy Stevens, Kyle Richards, and whoever that other fucking guy is. The bar, I did not like the Haddonfield mob.
I didn't like that either.
Anthony Michael Hall, I just fucking can't stand him. I'm sorry.
I was actually bummed when he got killed, to be honest with you. I was bummed out.
I was hoping to God he would,
he would get
got.
Jesus.
Because that's the thing, they introduced all these characters that they're pointless now. You know what I mean? All these characters that we got invested in through this movie are all dead. So what was the point? What was the point to do? It was filler. They didn't, this was Jamie Lee Curtis got paid to do what here?
That's probably
lay around the bed.
That's probably my biggest problem with the film is that it's clearly just filler to the last one. It's just something to bridge the gap between the first one and the last one. There's nothing in it that does anything. As a matter of fact, it actually to me hurts the franchise more than it actually helps it in any way. Because the reason why, I finally figured out why I hated this movie so much is because in the first one, that whole world that they created, whether you like it or hate it, was just something completely new. In terms of they didn't go back and try to do anything with the mythology or anything like that. They ignored the films, but they didn't go and try to show any shit or anything like that. They just stayed in the present mostly throughout the entire film. I don't like movies that go and try to fuck around with stuff from past movies like that. And while I'll give it to whoever did the production design that it looks legit, it probably looks as best as you could recreate something like that, today. It's just fucking stupid and pointless to do something like that. That world exists in its own thing, and I don't like when modern filmmakers go back and try to put shit into films like that have already been done, and whether or not it be just he was trying to fill in some gaps and then create the whole thing about the other sheriff deputy that fucking couldn't kill him and shot his partner. It's just I don't care about any of this. It doesn't serve any purpose. Well, it might serve a purpose in the end of this Halloween Ends, but I doubt it. So you got all that shit, none of which I liked. I don't know what the point is, even if you liked what Loomis looked like. I don't know what the point is of having him back in the movie, other than just so people can be oh shit, they brought him back. Look at that.
Wouldn't this be killer right here? At Halloween Ends, you see that Halloween Kills was all just a dream in Laurie's head.
Well, we were actually talking about that. I think... it wouldn't surprise me at all if at the end of the beginning of the next movie, the end of Halloween Kills was her dream or daydream or something like that. Because that's what that kind of shit reminds me of.
If that's the case, then Halloween Kills would be like the most hated film in the franchise after
Oh my
that. I'm
God,
pretty sure.
definitely.
But then, okay, so you got all that. That was like the biggest part to me was them trying to fuck around with like the original films, which they didn't need to do. There was no reason to do it really. But then the pointlessness of bringing back all the characters, all the old characters, just to have them like fucking all get killed off, and create a mob, which was, you know, a very thinly veiled kind of metaphor for all this other shit, which I hate. Especially when they do that in slasher films, which there's no point to do that. So the mob mentality thing, and then the pointlessness of having like the other escaped convict and like how they try to kill him. And then
that's a whole nother, like, to me, that's like white horse territory of like stupidity of like, let's try to get some storyline in there for what? And like you said, and we talked about this earlier before, is that was there subtext in what they were trying to say with this other mental patient, that escaped patient, because his storyline does nothing for this movie and it doesn't even make any sense. Like,
No.
if you take everything about him out of this movie, it changes nothing here. Nothing. Except you know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't understand. So to me, were they trying to do this to throw in some kind of like subtext of like what's going on in the world now? Like, where you have like cancel culture and mob mentality and people all just taking one person's, you know, view and jumping on top of it and then accusing people of X, Y, and Z until it gets to a point where that person either is like, I'm going to kill myself or have to put up with this torture that I don't deserve type of thing. Like, were they trying to say that? Like, I didn't know what that part of the movie was. And that was what the part of the movie that absolutely I hated the most, because I didn't understand what that did for anything.
Well, that's the thing. It didn't do anything. But then again, like, having Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie didn't fucking do anything either. Like,
No.
why was she in this movie? She's completely, like, incapacitated and useless throughout this movie.
She really didn't do anything in the movie, if you think about it.
No, she probably had like 10 lines, but I mean, I agree, and I think it was kind of weird, but was it giving people was it giving other characters a chance to grow instead of revolving around the Laurie Michael storyline again? You know what I mean? Like,
not really, because they killed everybody.
About everybody
I'm
died.
saying,
So.
like, her daughter and all that stuff. Were they trying to build them up? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would have liked it any better if it was Laurie Michael part 10. Like, I don't know if I would have enjoyed that anymore, you know, at this point. I don't know what I would have enjoyed. And the problem I do have with this as well is Halloween Kills is such a filler movie that it's not you could not watch this if you have no idea what's going on. This couldn't be a standalone movie at all. You'd be so confused that it has no ending really. Which I think that kind of hurts it that they couldn't figure out how to make this a somewhat, like, if you didn't see Halloween 2018, you know what I mean? Like, then you can't watch this movie really and understand anything.
And I think too that, like, I was watching another video where a guy was talking about this movie, and he made a really good point, which is like, people go into movies like this with like different mindsets about like what they want out of the movie. Like, some people just want to see like the death scenes, and then some people like just want to be like entertained, and then some people actually like are really into the mythology of the movie. And I think that that's where like we all are. Like, we know the background of the movie and the mythology of the movie and things like that. If you know all that stuff, then a lot of the shit that happens in this movie does not make a lot of sense. Like, in the context of everything else that came before it anyway. And, you know, Michael Myers, number one, like you were saying, is not like, he's somebody that kind of lurks in the background in the darkness and kills people. He doesn't like go fucking full on going into people's houses and like killing 5 or 6 people and, you know, all this shit, and just, you know, like,
I legit think that Anthony Michael Hall's role was, I mean, he almost ruined the movie. I mean, to me, like, if they would have, I don't even know if it's his fault, but just like some of the lines that, a lot of the dialogue in the movie.
Dialogue in there, like one-liners from a lot of characters that you kind of like,
Yeah, like most of the dialogue in this movie, you're just like, God, especially when there's a bunch of shit going on, and I hate this too about movies. Like, really bad movies always do this. There'll be a bunch of like action sequences going on, and then they'll like kind of, you know, pan in to one character who's given like the moral speech about what's happening. And in this one, it was like, you know, Laurie Strode, where she's like, you know, fear creates all this evil, and then you can't kill him. And like, you know, if people get too fearful, then he just grows stronger. It's like, no, that's fucking ridiculous. All that's just stupid. Every time he
I
kills
don't like that
somebody,
storyline that they're. What is that? Why is that a storyline with the mask giving him like superpowers or whatever? I don't like.
Why is it a storyline that the more people he kills, the fucking stronger he gets? He's not fucking Wishmaster. Like that's
I don't know either. I never liked that
sense.
storyline from 2018 either, because they used that there too, and I never really liked that one. And I mean, I loved the '78 stuff only because I just felt like they aesthetically they did really well with it. I would have rather watched the full movie shot and taken place like they did in that '78 footage than the rest of the whole movie. If they would have just had a whole movie like that, I would have loved it even more. But what kind of bums me out is that, again, they're erasing Halloween 2, which is super unnecessary, to cover one storyline about her and Michael not being related, which, again, it feels to me that they should be related, because what is such the beef with her? You know, like, besides just being a survived victim.
Yeah, why would he care?
Like, why would he be out there, like, searching around for her if there wasn't a bigger meaning than just a girl who got away 40 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Like, I still kind of have a problem with the fact that they tried to erase part 2, which is, to me, such a great sequel. And the tone of part 2 always felt right with the tone of part 1. And they couldn't have just started it from the fire at the friggin' hospital, right? They could have just basically made kills the same way they did, except he gets they help him out.
Remake part 4.
Right? Well, that's another thing too. Like, if you look at the first and the second one, the originals, like, they do it's more violent, but the tone of the movies is about the same, and they stay pretty true to the Michael Myers character in those two. But in these, it's like the tone is completely different, the pacing is completely different. Everything about those two movies, like, you know, the 2018 and Halloween Kills, is completely different, almost to the point where it's like somebody else made it, and it just completely doesn't.
I thought
fit.
Another thing that I really thought Halloween 18 was, I thought the music was way better in Halloween 18, the score. Like, they didn't really have that many memorable moments, like the new, I mean, they're always remaking the same shit, but I think they did it way better in the 2018 version.
There was a couple tracks on this that I thought I was iffy on. Like, I thought they were kind of cool, but I think it was at the end when he was coming down the stairs or something. It was kind of like a newer version when he was like killing the boyfriend or whatever. It was a pretty cool track, but it was very different take on like the Halloween type stuff.
I will say though, I mean, there were aspects of kills that I did like. I mean, David Gordon Green knows how to technically make a movie, so the movie looked great. I think both of those movies, you know, the 18 movie and this movie, technically looked great, and the flashback stuff, I kind of dug it. I watched the Loomis thing again today, trying to figure out what the fuck went on there. It looks to me like it was just a look-alike. I couldn't see anything that looked like it was computer generated or what. And I looked into it, and evidently this was a guy that was on the crew that they thought that looked like
really?
Donald Pleasence.
Wasn't a CGI face?
No.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean that, and if you freeze frame which I did, you can kind of tell. I mean, he doesn't look exactly like him, but it's pretty damn close. So I mean, I like that they did that they went to that detail. It's a shame they couldn't find somebody that talked like him a little bit better.
Mm. And I mean, I was happy that we finally had a newer movie that there was no, I mean, there could have been some, but there was not a lot of CGI. Which was nice to see. I mean, at least to me, the gore reminded me of like some of the gore from Evil Dead remake, which I think they did a real good job with that stuff. Some of the stuff that Michael did though, like, kind of bothered me. Like that one scene where he was just stabbing the guy in the back with all the knives in the house. I was kind of like that to me. I was like, that doesn't seem like a Michael Myers type move.
No,
just be randomly just stabbing the guy in the back. He's been dead for like 10 minutes. You know, that was kind of weird.
There was a lot of shit like that where it's just kind of needlessly mean-spirited throughout the whole movie. Where I mean, he kills people, but he's never been like, just overly like sadistically killing people in those ways. Jesus Christ, like some of the scenes in the movie, which I mean, it's Halloween Kills, but I feel like they just ramped everything up I really feel like that maybe they just made this movie for the people that just wanted to see like death scenes. So they're like, okay, we did the first one, which was like the setup and the exposition for what's going on, and like the slower one. Now we're gonna do the one where like everybody fucking gets killed and like all the death scenes and set pieces for the death scenes and all that. It's all the gore and everything. So the end one will be, who knows, but like I'm sure it won't be like that. It won't be paced like that either.
I think you're right, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think they used this one to like do something different, and then Halloween Ends is going to be a big one because there was just. You're right. It was even a lot different than 2018 as far as the pacing and the violence and how much action it had. Like I think that it was just something they needed to get from point A to point B. They figured, all right, let's bring back some old characters. Let's make it a bloodbath, get people excited for the last one, and then that'll be it. Like, I kind of feel like that was the intention, and that's why I'm kind of like, all right. To me, it went by quick. I don't know how long the movie was, but I felt like I wasn't bored with it. Like, I feel like even with 2018, like, I thought as a whole it was pretty good, but there was points of it where I was kind of like getting bored of it.
I mean,
I felt like this one didn't have that feeling to me.
And 2018 has got a lot of flaws. Like, I don't think 2018 is a perfect fucking movie by any stretch of the imagination. Like, the whole thing with the doctor character in that was awful. There's a lot of stuff in that movie that's kind of like... I didn't like a lot of the teenage characters in that movie. But cohesively and just, the way they handled the mythology and the setup of the movie, I thought was a lot better than this.
And they did... I think in the 18 when they did some shocking shit too that nobody expected, like Michael's first victim was a kid in the movie.
That was rough, yeah.
Yeah, because nobody expected that, and like it was because in Kills it's like Michael is up against what exactly? I mean, this is just a bunch of fucking people that are out to get him.
Well, I liked when he was like Raphael versus the Foot Clan when like. He was standing there and all the firefighters are like coming after him and he's going to like fight them all off.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like the Foot versus Raph and like Turtles 90 or whatever.
The James Jude Courtney, the guy that plays the Michael Myers, I think he's the best Michael Myers in a long time that they've had. He's like a force, and maybe
what
George
Moran say about that?
George P. Wilbur would be the... Tony Moran, he's just pissed because they cut his face out of this one. It was originally in it.
I love the way they did that too. He couldn't get any kind of credit whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, we said this earlier, and I know it's probably really far-fetched, but the mob scene when they were chasing like the guy they all thought was Myers, and everybody's like, "That's Michael Myers," and someone's like, "That's not Michael Myers. That's not Michael Myers." And I'm thinking to myself, like, is this like a big like rib on like Moran? like people think he was Myers, but like in reality they're like he's not Michael Myers.
They
like,
could have CGI'd Tony Moran's face on that guy. That would have been killer.
God, that would be amazing if that was the case, though. If they thought that far ahead to like think of that.
Like, so then because you figure he's in so much trouble, so they figure if we can convince people he wasn't really Myers, then maybe we don't have to bring him on conventions or shit anymore. I don't know, but it was just kind of funny. Did
they ever say though which scenes Nick Castle was in? Because I mean he was in this one too, and some. I mean, some of the scenes.
I'm thinking he had to have played the '78 Michael.
That's what I was thinking. That's just the only thing that makes sense.
And you know what else too? I felt that 78 mask or whatever they used there looked great. I for a second when I looked at it and I saw like the footage of like 78, I'm looking and I'm like the cops chasing. I'm thinking to myself like I don't remember this, and like I was getting confused for a second. Like it didn't really dawn on me right away that was new footage. Like for the split second when I saw him like down that aisleway, I'm thinking that this was like cut scenes that we never saw before until I realized that some of the cops were like they're current, but I thought that they did a hell of a job with just the aesthetic of 78, the mask. Was that a Trick or Treat Studios mask? Because it doesn't look anything like the ones I get from them. So I don't know. I thought the mask
was a rehauled version.
It must be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they did do a really good job with the actors and everything in the way that they portrayed that part of it. That part of it was probably not the biggest part of the
Well,
problem.
and you can tell the difference between these two movies and like a lot of the other movies, especially the Rob Zombie movies, is the people that are making these movies are fans of the series. So they take that extra, step when, hey, let's find somebody that looks just like Donald Pleasance, get them in there. Let's make the mask all accurate and everything. And I think that's why like people are a little bit more forgiving with these movies, especially the last one, is because it's got, there's definitely some issues with it, but when I think back to the end of Rob Zombie's Halloween II, I just have to, I was like, this one's not too bad.
Well, that's the thing too. Again, I've said this before, is I wasn't a hater of Rob Zombie, the first Rob Zombie Halloween at the time. I actually think, and I don't know what it is, I think Scout and Danielle Harris were just really good characters. I think that they did really well with their characters and stuff like that, but I wasn't a big fan of 2. It was a real bad experience in the theater, but I feel like walking out of this one, I've felt, well, even 2018, I liked when I got out of it the first time, but 2018, I feel like the more I watch it, the more I don't like it as much as I did on the first showing. But I definitely have a better experience with this one than I had of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 when I first saw it in theaters, but I haven't really watched that one in years, so I don't know if my mind's changed on that, because it seems like everybody's giving that one a ton of props now, so...
yeah, but there's also a guy that got a 31 tattoo as well.
That's true.
Those movies are just so fucking technically incompetent, though. Like, they're just not good movies. Like, if you took away everything else, like, if you took away them screaming fuck for, 45 minutes throughout the first part of it, like, they're just not well made.
Like,
I agree. I like the little African-American kid from 2018.
Here's the thing, too. This is another problem with that movie, in my opinion, too, is that they tried to recreate that character a couple different times with other characters to be like the comedic relief in the film, but you can't really do that when you're fucking violently butchering them like 5 minutes after they come up on the screen. It doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what else? I don't know if you guys noticed, but I watched Halloween Kills, and then today I started to watch 2018. And it's funny because they did a pretty good job connecting them all together. Like, do you know the couple at the beginning with the nurse outfit and, the guy was trying to take them? I don't know. That was another weird scene with, like, Michael Myers is taking my car, that at the bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that couple is in the beginning of Halloween 2018, like, going to the bar. And I didn't know that watching Kills. I thought they were just 2 new characters to this whole world.
If I'm
you watch 2018, it shows them, like, they're like, oh, we're going to go to the bar or whatever. And they get in the car. And then the guy says in 2018, I forgot my stethoscope inside. And I'm like, that's the same pretty much line he just used in Kills. So like that couple is in the original is 2018.
Did they not film these back to back?
I don't know. I mean, it's just funny that like it connects so close. They may have. But it was funny, you start seeing a lot of these characters from Kills that you didn't know were characters in 2018 because they were kind of in the background of like certain scenes and stuff like that.
So here's one from Lucio Inferno. It's an interesting question. Where would you put Halloween Kills in the whole franchise? Despite its flaws, it's in the top 5 for me. We can do some rankings. Where's Christian Hanna at? He'll like this.
So... Here's my personal opinion. Now, again, I have to say I haven't seen a couple of these a lot. So, for instance, I have not watched 4 and 5. To me, I never was a huge fan of, but I haven't watched them a lot. I may have seen them each twice in my whole life. So, getting these new additions was going to give me another opportunity to check these out again. I personally never cared too much for 4 and 5. I never cared too much for 6. I never cared for H2O, and I didn't like Resurrection. I think 4, 5, and 6 were like okay. I didn't hate them. I didn't hate H2O, but I didn't really. They were nothing I ever wanted to go back to and watch on a regular basis. 1, 2, and 3, I absolutely love. So, again, you take Halloween Kills for me in 2018, and it's like based on that, like, are they better than the Rob Zombie? I would probably say yeah, as a whole. So maybe Kills does fall in my top 5 because to me, the Halloween franchise as a whole, as much as I like Michael Myers, isn't a strong franchise in my opinion. Like, I would rather watch Friday the 13th 1 through 10 before I watch half of these. But that's just my opinion. Again, I think I do need to go rewatch 4, 5, and 6 because I don't really think I've given them the same chance as I've given the other ones. Mm-hmm. But that's just me, my opinion on that.
Well, I'm honestly 4 and 5 are not very good movies, really. I mean, I'm nostalgic.
Fuck you.
I'm nostalgic.
Buddy, 4 is a good movie. Don't you sit there and fucking tell me it ain't. Now 5 is a piece of shit, but 4 is a good movie.
I'm just saying, like they were low budget. They did that like it was independently done, pretty much. You know, the Accords. I think they self-financed that back in the day. So, I mean, if you're doing top 5, I would have to do I would do them in order probably, or maybe 1, 3, and 2, and then it would be tough. Like 6 probably for me would be after that, and I don't know. I don't know where the other one would be. Maybe 4. Is that 5?
I definitely need to watch these again. 4 and 5, that is. And I think with 4, I like the atmosphere of 4, but that mask, it totally just, you know, it just feels low budget, like a low budget Halloween movie. But
it was low budget. I mean, the distributor on that, what studio originally released that? I'm drawing a blank.
Which
I'm
one?
thinking, was it Mustafa Akkad that did it? Which studio released 4 and 5?
Oh.
Initially in theaters.
Well, I'm not sure initially in theaters.
Yeah. So I think it.
Trancas.
I think it was
Trancas.
Okay. So yeah, it was independently done. So what the hell was that?
Well, okay.
Like fart.
Here's the thing. Here's how I would probably rank them.
UB looks pissed.
1.
He's so pissed.
1.
Damn it, you talking shit about 4.
3.
I ain't gonna say shit for the rest of the show.
1, 3, 2, 4, 6, 5. H2O. God damn, then it gets kind of crazy because they all suck after that. 2018. Maybe I'd put 2018 above H2O, actually. Then H2O. And then... Okay, these 4 movies. Just take these 4 movies for a second and try to rank them, okay? Mm-hmm. Resurrection. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. And then Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills would probably be the first. It'd be the best one of those, I would say.
It has to be, yeah.
And then for me, I would put Resurrection.
See, Resurrection for me would probably be dead last. I'd probably go Kills, Rob Zombie 1, 2, Resurrection. Probably.
That's tough for me because they suck in different ways. Like they're just.
Well, maybe I'd put Rob Zombie, the first one, ahead of Resurrection. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen Resurrection. I've only seen Resurrection maybe twice. That's definitely the one that I've seen the least.
Yeah, I went back and tried to watch it, like, I don't know, a couple months ago and just absolutely couldn't get through it. They're all just horrible in different ways, in my opinion. But I would probably put, like, both Rob Zombie's films, you know, ahead of, or not ahead of, at, like, dead last to everything else. That's just me.
But the interesting thing, though, I mean, and this is what makes it always fun to talk about movies like this, is it's divided. I mean, there is a clear, you know, there's a group that hates it, there's a group that loves it. I think I'm kind of in the middle. I mean, I didn't think it was the worst thing ever, and I did like some aspects of it. But most people, it's either, I'm seeing that most people either love it or hate it.
I didn't care for it. I just didn't.
When you say good movie, it's hard to put this even into a category because I don't think it was like a great movie.
The die of COVID, Michael.
I mean, hey, who the hell?
That would be
Like, I can sit here and say, okay, well, I'm going to take 2018 and Kills, and if you try to compare it to something like Midnight Mass, like, to me, that there's not even like a question of like a better movie or story, right? Like, it's very different. Like, I don't think either of these are a great movie like part 1 was, or part 2, or even part 3.
Nobody can make
hard for me
movies
to
like
really-
that anymore. That's the problem.
Well, that's the thing. Like, but that's why I kept saying how great I thought Midnight Mass was, because I felt like that was just so. You don't see stuff like that anymore. Like real good stories and build and characters and something different. Like, it was just very different than what the norm is. Like, even Malignant, to me, I loved it, but it wasn't like a great movie. It was just fun, and it had like certain things you just haven't seen in a long time, which was different. But I still don't look at that and be like, wow, it was a fantastic movie. Like, there's not many of those, and especially in the horror genre, that you really see anymore.
I think
So
for me,
that's why
though,
it's hard.
like, for a movie that comes out in 2021, honestly, we shouldn't really expect much. These comic book movies and Marvel movies are fucking, they're making them every damn week, it seems like they're coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Just like throwaway. I see that as like throwaway shit. Just, let's remake Batman again. Let's remake Spider-Man
I don't watch
again.
any of those movies.
I don't either. So, like,
Yeah.
in 2021, I don't really expect. I think that's the difference between Dead Pit reviewing stuff in 2007 versus Dead Pit reviewing stuff in 2021. We're conditioned to kind of accept all of this bullshit that these companies are coming out with. So the fact that
No, it's unacceptable. I don't accept none of it.
You know
I
what,
don't
though?
accept these fucking eco cases, and I
but
don't
you're
accept this
right.
bullshit.
I think you're right. Both of you are right. Like, Uncle Bill's right where it shouldn't be acceptable, but you're right because it is accepted. And I kind of fall in between when it comes to a lot of stuff because, man, look at it when it comes to wrestling. Like, how can people say, like, oh, this was decent? Dude, wrestling hasn't been fucking decent in years, but it's just we accept like mediocre product because we're just so used to garbage for so long. So as soon as something good happens or decent happens, it's looked at as like it's amazing. And I think you're right on both ends.
This is fucking garbage right here.
So
What this is. You do realize though that my expectations for Scream Factory are low as anything. Like, it doesn't get any lower. I mean, I understand with what you're saying, but you know that films really aren't the same, or they don't have the same quality. Maybe it's due to the fact of COVID. Maybe it's due to the fact of like people just don't.
This
make
was going
fucking,
on way before that, but
They just don't. But
Well,
other thing I can say to that though is that I remember watching like a documentary clip of John Carpenter talking about just that one end scene from Prince of Darkness where the hand goes through the the water and all that, and talking about that for 20 minutes about like everything that went into that, why he chose to make that scene look the way that it did and like how it played out. I guarantee you nobody thinks about shit like that.
let's talk really quick about what you guys think of the ending. I thought it was, I didn't understand it. Like, he's in this battle, he comes back, kills everybody after he was like shot, stabbed.
in slow motion, he kills people.
And then all of a sudden, the next scene, he's in a house. And it's like, wait, how did he get to the house? And the house, she's looking out the window at
I'm
the
telling
house
you.
surrounded by cops, right?
I'm telling you, it's going to be a fucking dream or something. Like, there's going to be some, like, shit
you know what,
either.
though? Actually, you made a good point. That end scene with her daughter could have been a dream, I think. That
Yep.
section, because it didn't make sense. He killed all these people. She's in a house randomly where she was supposed to, what'd they say to her? Go see your mother. She decides to go to the house instead. Look out the window. She sees police lights all over the place. He pops out, kills her Psycho style, which I think was definitely an homage to Psycho with her mother, because it was like the same cuts, like when he was stabbing her, like she was in the shower. You kept seeing the slits on her wrist. I don't think she's dead regardless.
No, either one of two things. Either that'll be real and she just, comes back to life like the sheriff or whatever, or that's just some sort of like daydream fantasy sequence. She gets knocked out. There'll be some shit there.
Yeah. Judy
Because how did
Greer
he
never
get there?
dies.
Like, how did he get to how did he get in that house? It didn't make sense. He just appeared.
But I'll say this though. The sequence of I hated the whole like mob thing, especially the part with him running around like asking people to join this mob. But nobody's gonna fucking do that. Let me just line up to get murdered.
The Wonder Boy bat with him too from The Natural. You remember that movie, The Natural?
What did the bat say on it?
Wonder Boy.
It said
Huckleberry,
it said fucking
Huckleberry or something.
Peacemaker from Silver.
No, it didn't.
Dangleberry. Did it say that on there?
I forgot what it said. It said something.
It did. Yeah, it did say Huckleberry.
Dangleberry.
Dangleberry. Anyway, the only sequence that I really liked in the whole fucking movie was this when they got him surrounded. And then, like, they're all beating the shit out of him and all that. And then he comes back to life and, does WWF style. Even I like the way that
He should have did a kip up. That'd been killer.
Oh, that it was
that would have been amazing.
super kick party. He's like hitting everybody.
He no-sells everything like Hogan. Comes back up.
What'd you say? You like the way it was shot? Is that
I like the way that the whole thing was shot. I hate the idea of him like murdering like 50 people just because it seems so silly, but I like the idea of just the way that was all kind of like shot.
Well, that's the one thing, like he said, it's stylistic, and I like the atmosphere, especially of like the Halloween neighborhood. And like, I think it looked great. Like just seeing like the decorations and it felt fall and.
The guy knows how to make a movie. I mean, technically, and that's a huge difference compared to, some of these other fuckers they've had in there making these movies. Not talking about Rob Zombie, but Now Rob Zombie, I think Rob Zombie can film. And it looks good. It's just the content of what he's doing.
Rob Zombie,
there was just no
worth the shit. Now, come on.
Yeah.
He just here's the thing. Rob Zombie and somebody else mentioned this. Like he made some good films when he was making his own shit and people were staying out of his way. When it came to making those films, though, he says it was the studio. I don't know what the fuck it was, but those movies to me don't even seem like Halloween movies. Like I don't even like. As much as I hated Halloween Kills, like it still seems more like a fucking Halloween movie than when I think about any of Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. It just does. It feels like it
definitely
fits in that world better somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, it definitely does.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a divided audience with this movie. This is a different sort of Halloween movie too. Like you said, the ending was just weird. I didn't really know what they were getting for at the ending either. I mean, I would have figured when they all beat the dog shit out of him, that would be it for at least this movie, and maybe hint at something at the end. Mm-hmm. But no, he fucking hulks up and destroys about 14 more people.
He's like, you. That would have been. Let me
tell you something,
shit.
Tommy Doyle.
Well, something, Soffers.
All right. Here's another thing that I kind of confused with. So, what's the kid's name that came back? That was like a side character in the first Lonnie.
Lonnie, yeah.
Okay, here's what I didn't understand. Wasn't Lonnie in the original one kind of a bully to Tommy Doyle?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so.
Then they showed a clip of him getting bullied by like these other kids, and then he was saying all the same stuff that Tommy Doyle was saying when he was getting bullied by him, which. He was like, "Leave me alone," and then like it was confusing to me. I'm like, "Is this Tommy Doyle?" Like he was saying all the same lines from that original movie of what Tommy Doyle was saying when he was getting bullied. He was like reciting that whole scene again. So I was like, "Who the hell is this?" They were both wearing like a red jacket. And I was super confused.
They call that an homage to the first movie. That's all that was. I don't think they were looking at character.
I mean, I think it was an homage, but at the same time, like, don't you think it's just kind of weird? Like, he bullied another kid and then repeated what that kid said when he was bullying him when other people were bullying him.
It was Lonnie Anderson.
Fuck. That's true, though. The only thing I remember about Lonnie's character is that Dr. Loomis is like, Lonnie,
Get out of
get
there.
out of here, you
Get
little
your
shit.
ass away from there, Lonnie. You little bastard. Silver Shamrock mask, though. We didn't mention that. Those were...
That's like a
another
staple in
homage.
these new Halloween movies, yeah.
Can I take a minute just to say how much I fucking hate like what Dr. Loomis said in Halloween Kills 2? He just busts in there and he's like, for no reason, did he kill again?
Did Michael kill again?
What? What if he did? I mean, wouldn't you assume that he did? Why would you bust in fucking screaming that?
What the fuck is going on in here? I need
That
some
was a
fish
weird.
and chips.
That was kind of a weird line. It didn't really make much sense. Could have been like he could have said anything else, like is he in here or something, you know?
Yeah.
Did he kill again?
No. Whoa! Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe, and if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
don't.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to touch nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell. Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.